Welcome, everyone, to the Municipality of Thames Center Regular Council Meeting, Monday, March 7th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Before I call this meeting to order, I know that many of us have, with sadness and bewilderment, been watching the events in the Ukraine. It's hard to believe in this day and age that this type of aggression is still taking place. We have come so far since the Iron Curtain lifted in Berlin, and the world seems a much smaller place. We still watch the horrors unfold on our phones. The sanctions being put in place are groundbreaking, and the resulting reverberations are being felt all over the world. Watching Russian oligarchs' yachts being impounded, soccer clubs being sold, young hockey players being scrutinized, and the one that really hits home the hardest, the rising gas prices. When something this significant happens, it's easy to retreat and feel powerless. I would like to acknowledge Penny Wern and her reaction to immediately liaisoning with our local Ukrainian society to see what their needs are. She has already collected a large amount last week, but we're ready to accept donations again this Wednesday, March 9th, from noon until 5 in the Flight Exec gravel parking lot. There's a need for diapers, medical supplies, and medications. The Ukrainian Club is also set up for money transfers as well. The Red Cross and Save the Children Fund are both active in the Ukraine if you prefer to donate through these charities. Thank you, Penny, and the Alliance members who have been assisting her. I would like you to be able to take a moment and reflect on the real meaning of lost freedom. And I would like to call this meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda?
No additions.
Okay, thank you. And now, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest, Council? Nope, seeing none. Any announcements? Okay, no presentations, no delegations. And now moving on to the consent agenda. I just want to make a note on one of the consent agenda items, and that would be 6.9, and that is the IODE's request for a proclamation for IOD Awareness Week. Now, that Awareness Week is April 24th to 30th. And Thames Center will plan to do something, but we're unable to proclaim because there is a policy that's set in place already by the municipality. So that will just be not a proclamation when we get to it, but we will acknowledge them in a way that is fit for the work that they've been doing for the community for a number of years. So we have consent agenda items 6.3 to 6.9 be received as information. Are there any questions or any desire to pull any of these reports out? Seeing none, I'd like a motion to accept them as presented. Councillor Heeman, seconded by Councillor Patterson. All in favor? Okay, so moved. Oh, yeah. And moving back to the minutes held on February 14th, 2022. There's minutes of the special and the regular council meeting, and looking for a mover to accept those. So moved, Councillor Hunter, seconded, Deputy Mayor Elliott. All in favor? So moved. All right, the first report is F00222-2021, and that's the development charges background study and bylaw. And I see that our Director of Finance is on the screen. Ms. Grogan, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. This report is before Council as a follow-up to the presentation and statutory public meeting that was held on February the 14th, 2022, wherein the 2021 development charges background study was presented and approved by Council. This report provides Council with recommendations that were included in that 2021 development charges background study and requests that Council enact bylaw number 17-2022, which is a bylaw to establish development charges for the corporation and to repeal our current bylaw. The Director of Planning and Development, Mr. Bancroft, and I are available to answer any questions you may have.
Council, any questions for Director Bancroft or Director Grogan? Councillor Patterson, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Warwick. On the first page of the report, that your recommendation, it says, and that the approach to calculate water and wastewater services on a uniform urban-wide basis is continued. What does that mean?
So I'm not sure, Mark, if you want me to handle that or if you want to address the changes that occurred in the 2021 development charges background study.
Well, can you give it a shot, and I'll supplement your response if
Sure.
necessary.
Yep, absolutely. So as discussed at the public meeting that was held on February the 14th, it was staff's recommendation that rather than to waive water and wastewater development charges on industrial applications that are found within the urban boundaries, which was the current policy of council. It was our recommendation to waive those so that within the urban boundaries, water and wastewater development charges under this proposed bylaw will now charge full service for all complements of development within those areas.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree, Ms. Grogan.
Okay, any follow-up, Councillor Patterson?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Mayor Warwick, I just have a second question, if that's okay.
Yep, go ahead.
I know we talk a lot about, well, you've talked a lot about it, and so has the deputy mayor, and so has this council, about attainable and affordable housing. So why is it we're increasing the development charges by a few $1,000s? Because that puts a lot of pressure on developers and the price of housing. You know, we're up to, well, it was 37,000 or 36,000. Now it's up to 38,000. And that really affects the housing pricing. And I know there's lots of talk in media about attainable and affordable housing. And why are we increasing that?
I think Kim had her hand up first and then Mark.
Sorry, thank you. So in response to Councillor Patterson's question, the development charges are actually calculated based on statistics within our own municipal boundaries. So the development charges actually look at our anticipated growth. It looks at anticipated capital required to support that growth. We also look at the anticipated grants, subsidies, and other contributions, all of which are subject to change, but are unique to Thames Centre. If you actually compare Schedule B in the proposed bylaw to the actual fees bylaw or fee increase that was presented to council in regards to 2022 development charges back, I believe, December the 14th of 2021, you'll actually note that our development charges rates are going down from where they currently sit. So yes, the current rates in the bylaw are higher than what our actual rates in 2021 were. But when you compare it to the rates that were inflated for 2022 based on the non-residential building construction index, our rates are actually going down from what's currently posted.
And Mr. Bancroft, did you have a further comment?
Yeah, Your Worship, if I could also add, so there's been some recent changes to the legislation where to lessen the burden on the development community relative to rental housing, for example. So under the new rules, it provides an opportunity for deferred payments up to 6 installments. And basically, it gives the developer 6 years to basically pay the development charge. And also with the new rules, in terms of the introduction of not-for-profit housing, it is actually 21 annual installments. So therefore, you've got basically 21 years to pay the full DC as otherwise under the old rules, those would be due at the time of the issuance of the building permit. So that certainly goes a long way in terms of making these types of projects more cost effective for developers. Thank you.
Thank you. And it certainly is a complex topic. And as far as, a study, it covers all the aspects of what historically has been done, as well as what we're moving on in the future, developing and looking at our population needs. But also, we also have to take into account that a lot of the housing strategy has to come from the province, such as as Mr. Bancroft mentioned, the different stages of payment for renters and for nonprofit housing again. So it's encouraging for developers to go out and do that. And that makes it passed down to the consumer at this time. Just that we're not in a position at Thames Center, we don't have anybody applying for rental units at the moment or non-for-profit housing. So we're not able to put that down to the renter or the person buying at the moment. But I know that there's some councillors that have comments. So first I will have Deputy Mayor Elliott and then Councillor Heeman.
Thank you, and through your worship, just a comment, and I thank Director Bancroft for making the comments in regards to the different bills and policies that are coming from the province to address affordable and attainable housing. I think when we look at development charges, it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario in the fact that we don't arbitrarily pick these numbers of what we're charging developers out of the air. It's very strategic. It's very costed. It looks at the needs of our community. And if we decrease development charges to make it easier on developers to do all of these projects, and you look at the projects that we're doing that are being generated because of development charges, all of a sudden those go on the tax base. So yes, let's decrease development charges to make it better for developers, but at the same time, you're just going to turn around and put it on the property tax bill. And so it is a very much a chicken and egg scenario when we're looking at the needs of Thames Center.
Okay. Councillor Heeman.
Yeah, I'd just like to provide some supplementary comments, and I think Councillor Patterson and I are both in alignment on the need to reduce water fees, and I see this reduction in the subsidy towards industrial as something that helps do that, because right now any future development of sewer and wastewater infrastructure for industrial units is borne by residential taxpayers, and so I think that's something that in the past has contributed to our current fee structure. And so I think that this would allow us to plan and not have that being borne by our taxpayers. Likewise with the inflation, development pays for development. And if we want to stop inflation, then we need to write a letter to the Central Bank of Canada. And that it's not to belittle the fact it is a big concern, but if we're not taking in that revenue, we're going to see declining revenue and increased costs and more people asking for services. So this is our first line of defense.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All right. So looking for now a mover. There is a recommended motion. I won't go through all of it. Quite a bit there. So you've all had a chance to read it. So looking for a mover. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, and so moved. Moving on to PWDR 00422, the Hodgins Drain, Section 4 and 78 requests for drainage works. And there he is. There is Travis right now, just in time. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead with your report.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. It's come to staff's attention that we have some existing stormwater infrastructure being treated as if the same way we treat infrastructure within the urban areas of Thorndale and Dorchester, and not as a municipal drain, although this stormwater infrastructure is outside of that area. So what our request here is to create a report to incorporate this infrastructure into municipal drain status so that going forward, if anything does take place that requires repairs or maintenance, we can have a proper assessment schedule to ensure that we can recover the costs and do that in a fair manner. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to help.
Any questions regarding this report? Nope, makes sense to me. So looking for a mover. Counselor Hunter, seconded. Deputy Mayor Elliott, any other discussion? Questions? Okay, calling the vote. All for it? Okay, opposed? Okay, so moved. And now the report, PDS 1122 interim building services. And Mr. Bancroft.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of council. So you have before you report number PDS-011-22. And the purpose of this report is to receive direction from council to retain RSM building consultants to provide interim building services, considering the resignation of the municipality's chief building official. I think this report is pretty straightforward, Your Worship. Simply put, only the CBO can issue building permits. So we really require outside assistance. Considering, although we've posted for the new CBO position, it's unlikely that it will be filled until April, if not May. So my recommendation is provided at the beginning of my report. So I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Bancroft? I think we are all sorry to see Mr. Stewartson go, and he worked very hard for us, but this sounds like a really good way to get through that. Councillor Patterson.
Yes, Mayor Work. Why are we choosing RSM building consultants? Are they the only ones that do this type of work?
So through you, Your Worship, RSM consultants, they are a registered code agency, which is registered with the Ontario Ministry of Municipal Affairs. We have gone through an extensive search to find a firm to assist. And as far as I'm aware, this is the only firm that is out there in the region. I'm not aware of any other firm other than, perhaps in the GTA. So that this is staff's position that we move forward with engaging this firm. If there's any follow-up questions, I'm here to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you. CEO Henry, I see you on the screen. Did you want to make a comment, or are you just there for backup?
Yeah, no, I would generalize what Director Bancroft had said. This is a service that is as few and far between, and we are required to have this. The only thing I will add in is their services and their fees that are associated with this are quite in line with our own. The department, as you know, is self-sufficient, so fees in, fees out, or money in, money out kind of thing. So they do cover off quite nicely for us, so it will not cost us any more. The anticipated fees associated with this would be redirected as per Mr. Stewartson's wages and just funnel across to this agency. I'm so pleased with this agency. I was able to bring it up at our monthly CAO's meeting and discuss this as a countywide option to look at fallback for situations like this moving forward.
Okay. Council, go ahead, Councillor Patterson. You have another question?
Yeah, Mayor Work. Is there a sunset clause on this? Are some building consultants to be hired, or it's just open-ended?
Well, I'm going to let Mr. Henry answer that, because it all depends on the hiring practices and how long it takes to attract a new building official and thereon. So I'll let him answer that question.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. That hit the nail on the head. The services will end when we attain a CBO. And if there's any situation where there's maybe a little bit of overlap due to catch-up process during that time, a new person coming on board is going to have to get their feet wet and find out what we're like and what backlog we have. So we may retain them a little bit further, but everything will be handled in accordance with the allotted amount as budgeted by this council last December.
Any other questions? No, I think I would like to thank Mr. Bancroft and Mr. Henry for finding this solution so quickly. I believe that we'd be in a terrible situation if the building permits at this stage of the game, when everybody's wide open and ready to go, would certainly back up and cause us a lot of problems in the municipality. All right, so we have the motion on the board. So looking for a mover. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Patterson. Is that correct? Yep. All in favor? So moved. And now moving on to the mayor's report. So, since our last meeting, I was pleased to attend a joint meeting on February 15th between the county, the City of London, and the ambulance system, St. Joseph's Hospital, and London Health Sciences. This meeting was working on a collaborative approach for solutions for issues such as offload delay and post-COVID recovery and advocacy efforts. I believe these informal groups are valuable for understanding where each group stands and for what shared efforts we can forward. February 16th, County Treasurer Cindy Howard, Deputy Mayor Kelly Elliott, and I met via Zoom. We met FCM representatives to discuss a project that the Women's Caucus had applied for through Municipal Innovation Women and Local Leadership Project. And this is dealing with Asia and Africa. This multi-year project partners Canadian municipalities with various locations worldwide to encourage women to run for election. At this meeting, we are pleased to find out that our partners are in Truro, Nova Scotia, and the town of Comox, BC, and the County of Middlesex will be working together with women in Cambodia. We look forward to working through our next steps with our partners. Later that day, I attended the Police Services Board meeting. On February 17th, I met with other county council members on the Planning Advisory Committee to discuss topics that need to be reviewed on the county's upcoming official plan review. February 22nd, I chaired County Council meeting. One of the reports received was the Ontario Housing Affordability Task Force. It presented many different recommendations, one being to depoliticize the approval process. It's an excellent report written in layman's terms and gives you the real picture of housing in Ontario today. One example found was that a town could no longer afford to maintain a volunteer fire department, as the volunteers couldn't afford to live within 10 minutes drive of a fire hall. February 23rd, I was honored to chair the KCCA annual AGM, where the annual budget was approved and long service awards to the conservation authorities were recognized. February 25th, I was invited by the Premier's office to attend an announcement regarding skilled trades at Armatech. It was nice to be able to attend an in-person event and have the opportunity to catch up with Minister McNaughton as well. At 2 p.m. that day, I attended a Zoom meeting with MP Karen Vecchio and County Treasurer Cindy Howard, where we were able to discuss the federal issues affecting the County of Middlesex. At 4 p.m., we are pleased to welcome the Premier at the EMS headquarters, where he was able to thank the paramedics in person and meet them individually. February 28th, I attended the Emergency Control Group meeting for the county. And March 1st, I attended the Middlesex London Health Unit briefing with Mayor Ed Holder, Dr. Alex Summers, and Dr. Duclos, where the ease of restrictions is being met with cautious optimism. March 2nd, I attended a joint meeting with the City of London. We were able to discuss topics like the upcoming attainable housing review that the county has successfully applied for funding to be able to take a comprehensive look at the housing shortage in the county. Other topics discussed were Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit, which the county was pleased to receive additional funding for. Of concern was the fact that the Social Services Relief Fund was ending and support for the homeless was being diminished. March 3rd, I attended the South Central Transit meeting, and later that day attended the Middlesex CEOs meeting. March 4th, I had a quick meeting with SCORE as the Women's Caucus has been invited to a Zoom meeting with female elected officials over the 5-county area. And I also attended an accessibility meeting for the county that same day, which brings us up to here. So thank you for your time, and moving now, do we have any unfinished? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Patterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Work. You talked about the offload delay for ambulance, and I know that's been an issue for a number of years. Are you guys getting any traction on that from the province? What's happening with that?
I believe I believe that the work that's been done by Chief Roberts and the ambulance authority board have been really working hard on that. And it's not been easy with COVID slowing down many of the procedures at the hospital. But, you know, so much of this is in partnership with other issues the opioid crisis, for example, for paramedics having to deal with drug overdoses, and that's been on the up for years now. The other big thing is mental health issues, and that's something that our OPP and our paramedics have been working on together, where there is mental health people on board to help with those people that are being held at the hospitals. But it's still an ongoing problem. It's still not going to be solved easily through one solution. So yeah, thanks for the question. And I think we are making some traction, but it seems like we're going up a hill and sliding down a hill sometimes. Okay, so now we had no unfinished business. Any notice of motions? Any new business? Seeing none? Then we're going to go now into closed session. So I'd like a motion that council move into closed session pursuant to section 2392B of the Municipal Act, being personnel matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, with respect to committee appointments and performance review. So mover, Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Okay, and just let me know when you've stopped recording, Alan. All right, so we're returning from our closed session of March 7th, 2022. And now we are back in open session. We are during closed session, can discuss personnel matters regarding committee appointments and a performance review and provide direction to staff. So moving on to bylaws. So I have a recommended motion that bylaw 80/2021 be in the third and final reading, and bylaws 15/22 and 19/22 be adopted as presented. Oh, sorry, not and. I'll change that. It's funny how you just want a little word changes so many things. All right, so looking now, a mover for the bylaws, Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter, and all in favor?
Mayor Work?
Yep.
Can we remove 14.4 as separate? Which is bylaw 17-2022.
Too late. We can take that one out. All right.
Can I just amend?
Yep, go ahead and your move.
I'll just amend my motion then to third and final reading for bylaw 15/2022, and then to approve bylaw 16/18/19/2022.
Yeah, there was an and on it. All right, so you've amended the motion, seconder for that motion. Ended, Councillor Hunter. A show of hands, we're okay with that? Okay, and now we're going to take 14.4, bylaw 17/2022, being a bylaw established development charge for the Corporation Municipality of Thames Centre. So mover, Councillor Elliott, seconded, Councillor Hunter. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. Now looking at our meeting schedule, our next meeting is Monday, March 28th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Make sure everybody has a big coffee before that one, because that's going to be lots of planning issues to deal with. So I'm looking for an motion to adjourn, and it's now 1:45. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? There we go. Thank you, and we'll see you March 28th.